Alright, so I'm actually really excited about what we're actually gonna do in this video. We are going to look into different and interesting ways to get remote code execution, and we're gonna do that via Barker, which is a vulnerable web application by bugbountyhunter.com. Now let's actually look if, so I've already started Barker. And Barker actually currently has 170 bugs. Out of these 170 bugs, we're actually going to focus on two of them, or one of them, which is a remote code execution bug in a feature in a file upload, and most specifically in a banner image upload, and we'll see that in a moment once we get into it. So the techniques that we're actually going to look into are going to be two of them. I'm not interested in updating Java right now, so thank you, Windows. Let me just dismiss this. So the techniques are via generic file upload and via GraphQL mutation, and that's actually going to be the interesting part. Now the tools that we're actually going to use are Burp Suite, which is what I have fired up here waiting to actually be used, and our web browser, which is Chrome here. Now, the format of this video, I want to set it from the start, is going to be instructional. So I'm not actually going to pretend that I'm doing this for the first time and I'm discovering this for the first time, because if I would be doing that, this video would actually going to take far longer than is currently going to take. So my purpose is not to brag or show skills that I don't have here, but actually to pass something to you in a format that's actually efficient and very good, so that you can learn in a good manner. Now, off the start, let's just jump right into it, shall we? So the first one is going to be the remote code execution via the banner upload. So I have the web application already started here. It's a container, and I'm gonna click on start hacking, and this is the instance of my web application. Now I'm actually going to move back and forth to this document, because this is where I've got everything laid out. So I fired up Barker, and I'm actually going to, as you can see, I'm not logged in right now. I'm actually going to log in via a trick, or sort of like that has been passed to me, which is I would have to visit login and then SSO equals, and in this situation I'm actually logged in. Alright, now once I'm logged in, I'm going to click onto my profile, and in this section we're actually going to look into what exactly is vulnerable. So in this situation, the vulnerable thing is update your profile banner. There are probably also other features here that are vulnerable, but we're actually going to focus on this one, update your profile banner. Now what we are going to do from the very start is that we're actually going to upload a generic file, so that we would have a baseline request that we're actually going to modify in Burp. So Burp here is started, but I haven't actually used my web to intercept the proxy, which is, so this is not a beginner video. I'm actually going to use the proxy Burp. I'm actually assuming that you know what I'm doing here, so this is not a beginner video. And I'm going to actually upload a file from my desktop, which is a generic. Actually, let's see, this is the file that I'm actually going to upload, which is here. It's just my background image. I'm going to upload this, update profile, and then we're actually going to look into Burp and see what we have here. So let's see, we have this one. It's over here. Why does it show like that? Let's actually move it to the repeater tab. And this is our baseline request, and you can see this this is all the image data, image.jpg. This is all the image data that we have. So this is a generic file upload. Now in this situation, the issue is that there have been, so if we look here, there have been different security measures implemented, because if I try to upload a file with a different extension here, so a non-image extension like a PDF, like a PHP or something else, in that situation we are not actually going to be able to do it. So let me show you. Let's actually just disable Foxy Proxy now, and let me show you if I try to upload, let's say, this PHP file here. If I say update, the banner image, the banner must be an image. So there have been multiple sort of like restrictions or security measures implemented so that we are not able to like easily get our way into or easily exploit our way into the application. Now, this is often the case in pen tests, so I would actually say that in a lot of the pen tests that I'm doing, there is at least one way to bypass upload restrictions, whether it's upload of images or uploads of documents or whatever. Now, in this situation, the way to bypass this restriction is to actually manipulate the file name as well as manipulate the contents. So first off, you would have to manipulate the file name, because let's say if we do a instead of having it .jpeg, let's say we have two spaces, then .p, then another two spaces, or just one space, PHP, as I've said it here, so png.php. And also in this situation I would actually have to modify the content type. It's going to be application.pdf, not PDF but PHP. It can also be XPHP or HTTPD PHP, I believe. There are multiple MIME types for PHP, but we're just going to go with the very like easy one. So let's name it otherwise. So let's just name it otherwise. And then to actually sort of like trick, and this is one way that you can bypass image upload restrictions or extension restrictions or file termination restrictions. We're just gonna let the first couple of bytes from the image file and then remove most of the rest, so all the way down here. And then what we're actually going to replace it with, so as I said, we modify the content type. We're just going to add this PHP code which actually gives us sort of like a command shell or command feature or command execution via the URL. So back again here, we're just going to paste this. Now let me make sure that I'm recording here. So we're already 8 minutes in. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. Now application PHP, so just as a resource, if you want to learn more about this or different ways to actually penetration test file uploads, I've actually posted a link here, and you're gonna actually receive this or you're gonna receive a copy to this document in the description of the video. But what's this resource is the one by Hacktricks, which is pen testing, file upload, and there's a lot of stuff that you can try here. Whenever I'm doing a penetration test in all my pen tests, I am actually trying this, because you cannot actually have everything inside your mind. You cannot actually run everything from memory. You have to have a methodology, whether you're actually looking to different books or different like Git books, such as is in this case, or if you have a methodology of your own. It is well worth mentioning that you have to follow something, because otherwise your results may very likely be mediocre. So back again here, let's actually see if it works, because sometimes theory does not meet practice, and oftentimes when I'm doing demonstrations, things don't go according to plan. Alright, so it said it went to a 302 found, and we can now actually try and see if this file has been uploaded. I could follow the redirection, but what I've learned after testing this application is that I don't need to follow the redirection to actually check whether or not this has worked. So if I'm going back here onto Barker and click on this thing, and we're actually going to look into, this is where actually, this is the section where the banner should be. If I click on open image in new tab, as you can see, it has been PHP. So something is wrong here. If I'm just so .php, let's try that one more time and see. Click on refresh. Do we get the same thing? Yes, we get the same thing. So let's actually give it another name. So otherwise.jpg p space hp. Is it like the same thing that I've already done in there? So I'm sending that. We're looking into it here. Is the same thing. Let's just copy. So copy image address, paste it here. Otherwise.php. It's file not found. So let's actually try one more time. It's in the banner image. We can just, so for sake of exemplification, we could just URL encode, or just encode 0d% 0d%0a.p% 0d hp, file name, let's name it 123.jpg, send. Let's see what we get here now. Let's click on open image in new tab. It says not found. .php, still file not found. What if we just space .p space actually hp, we send it, we actually refresh and see. So as I've told you, things don't actually work according to plan, because when I actually tested this, it worked. And now, so we have jpg.php, and if we do command equals present working directory, so it doesn't actually want to work. Alright, so let's actually get back into it. So I actually figured out it. I took a few moments and actually restarted the application just to make sure that it's working accordingly. Now going back here, it doesn't always work. I found out that it doesn't always work like that. So it doesn't always work to its purpose. Now what I've done here is exactly what I did a few moments ago. So is %0d%0a.p%0d.hp. Now what we can do here is just select this, or we can select the entire thing. Let's just say 678, select the entire thing, and just right click. We could convert selection to URL decode, or we can just press Ctrl Shift and U. So if we do URL decode, is actually going to URL decode it, and if we send it, it should in theory have done what we wanted. So if I right click back and open image in new tab, we've got our file here uploaded as we wanted. So in this case, remember that what we try to upload is a PHP shell with this small script, and we can see that we have a parameter cmd which we have to attach here. So if we do cmd present working directory, you can see that that appears in there. So if we do uname -a, we can see that this is a Linux box. Alright, so this was the first way to actually, even though it was a little bit tricky, let's hope that the second one wouldn't be as tricky as well. Now So this was the RCE via banner upload. Now the second one is going to be RCE via GraphQL. So whenever you're dealing with a GraphQL application, in this case, let's say that we've been hinted or we've found out via recon that there is a GraphQL endpoint as it is here. So if we have a GraphQL endpoint, the first thing we have to do is to actually look if there is introspection available, because the introspection actually gives you a lot of insight on the underlying API. So to actually do an introspection, we'll have to send a post request with this blob here. With this blob, let's actually just copy this, and we have to send this to the GraphQL endpoint, which in this case is here. So let me just send this to repeater, and we'll have to modify. So just a second, close this, and we're gonna have to modify this one so that it actually goes to GraphQL. We're gonna delete a couple of things from here. We're just gonna delete this entire thing, actually replace it with our blob, which with our operation name introspection query. We don't need a couple of headers from here. We don't need the except header, we don't need the connection clause, the user agent, the content type, the origin. We actually don't need most of these headers. So let me actually show you. Let's just hope it doesn't break. We don't need these for the actual GraphQL. We just need our cookie. Maybe we don't even need the cookie, or maybe we do. We need actually the content type. So application.json, because this is a JSON thingy. Let's see if it works with that. Yeah, so that's the only header that we needed to add. We needed to add the content type application. Let's actually delete the cookie as well, see if it works without the cookie. So it works without the cookie as well. So once we see the introspection actually gives us a lot of insight of the underlying API, and we could also pull this, or actually put this entire information into sort of like graph processors for GraphQL. I believe there was one, so GraphQL Explorer. I believe there was one, I'm not really sure. I think it was this one, or there was another one. I'm not actually really sure, but you just actually copy this entire thing, not that, but this, Control C, not the entire thing, but just the response here. Not like that. It was GraphQL viewer schema online, probably. Yeah, this one, the Voyager one. So if we just change schema, introspection, and paste it over here, we'll look into the display, and we can see this is what we have. I thought it was actually slightly more than this. Regardless, once you have this, you can actually analyze it yourself. We can see that we're looking for an admin upload thing here. You can see there's an operation called admin upload. It requires a file. It's a scalar it doesn't have any default value, it has upload name, and so on and so forth. So what we're actually going to do in this situation, we're going to actually try to leverage this thing, and from what I've understood, you can actually directly upload without any restrictions with this feature. But for this feature to actually work, you would have to do two tricks when it comes to our Barker here. Now, for some reason, this this didn't load accordingly, so I'm just actually going to close it. But you get the point. When you have a the output of a GraphQL introspection schema, you just take it, you paste it over here, and then you click on display. Let's actually display nothing here. It's gonna get nothing. Change the schema, paste the introspection, we get this. Now, back again. So I was saying that for the admin upload to work, you will need to actually do some additional manipulation of the application. I've learned that you need to, so let's go back into the document. You need to go back to the profile and add permissions in this case. So even though you are an admin on Barker, you would have to first set a moderator as you would be updating your profile. And look, this might be all over the place, but when you're actually dealing with a web application, sometimes you would actually have to do multiple things to get to an end result. Now in this case, remember our profile update feature where we actually uploaded the PHP RCE script. In this situation, we would actually have to modify a parameter moderator to 1, and then after setting the moderator to 1, so let me see, we have 22 minutes undergoing. We're good on time. So once you have a moderator set to 1, then you have to follow up the request to actually set another parameter root admin to 1. Now in this situation, we're dealing with a mass assignment vulnerability. So you would actually be chaining multiple vulnerabilities to actually get the GraphQL upload to work. Now I could modify whatever parameter here and just send this one. So we need to add a parameter moderator and set it to 1. We need to be first a moderator, then a moderator can actually sort of like hire or level up their privileges to root admin. In this situation, you're dealing with a mass assignment vulnerability because, for example, you have your profile, and in your profile you have multiple parameters. Some of those parameters, like for example user equals 1, so by default let's say that your user type, for example, is user. If the application is not designed correctly, you could modify this into admin and the application would gladly take it. This has happened a lot and it's still happening a lot out there in the wild. And this is what's actually happening here. There's a parameter called moderator. First we set the moderator to 1, we send this request, then we set another, let's say that now we are moderators, we set root admin to 1, we send this request, and now in theory we would be able, so if things work accordingly, we would be able to craft a post request to GraphQL, remember the admin upload endpoint, so we would be able to craft a post request to GraphQL where we would do basically the same thing, upload a PHP system but without any restrictions. So let's go back here. Let's say that we're posting to GraphQL. Let's go back with our headers here. We need the cookies, and then so we make sure that we have the application JSON, but we don't need the application JSON. We actually need let me just send this to the repeater one more time, because we need the content type to be multi-part form data, as we have it here, content type multi-part form data. Again, I'm actually going to demonstrate that we don't need these headers. We also don't need the sec headers all down to connection.close, but we need to actually post to the GraphQL endpoint. And what we need to post is actually the GraphQL. So we're actually going to post to GraphQL, and we need to send data into a GraphQL sort of like optimized format. So I'm just actually going to replace some stuff here. Let's say that we do not need a couple of them. We only need 4 of them, 4 of these sections. So we only need 1, 2, actually 3. We only need 3. Let's actually delete the rest of them. So we have 1, 2, and then we have 3 to there. Like that. In the first one, content disposition form data operations, we're just replacing that one. In the second one, we need to post that. And in the third one is where our actual payload goes, which is in this one. And now, if everything is working accordingly, so if there are no issues underlying, this should actually give us a link to our RCE.php. Let's see. Before actually clicking this button, I would say I'm sort of like 60% that's actually going to work. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, click send. Public RCE, so we actually have it. This actually worked. Alright, so let's go back, and after more recon, we find out that they aren't uploaded in public, as you're saying here, public RCE.php, but in storage RCE.php. And if we go there, we remember that we have a CMD parameter, and if we look present working directory, this is where we are. We're actually in the public. That's where so the public is mapped to storage. So if we do a uname -a, we can also say who am I, and from here we could actually escalate our privileges and ultimately do some privilege escalation. Let's say, for example, that we get a reverse shell. We can then go into the system and see multiple ways into actually escalating our privileges. But the purpose in this case was not to do that, but to actually demonstrate how you would be able to upload. Now, do keep in mind that this is so it has been one of the very few times that I've done this. You have to make sure, so it's quite interesting, because when you're posting to GraphQL, you're actually not posting, let's say, for example, a multi-part form data, because this is very complex. You're actually just posting a JSON blob here to actually upload data to GraphQL or via GraphQL. Now, Let's see how many minutes we're in. We're 29 minutes in, and let's see. I've got an extra here. If there is time, so if there is time, we can do the same thing here. There is a little bit of time, 3 more minutes. We can do the exact same thing here, but via curl. Now in this situation via curl, it would be, so I have my VPS up and running here. So present working directory, we get cat exact.php. We've got the exact same thing. Now going back, we would have to curl with a header, with a custom header that holds our cookie, and we get our cookie. For example, in this situation, we just have to grab the Barker cookie from here. Let's just make sure that we convert it to decode. Let's hope it works. Control C. And then let's actually paste it in here. We need to post it to our Barker session, which is here, to the GraphQL endpoint. So let's just replace that like that. And we would be doing the exact same operations that you're seeing here. So the mutation file upload, as you can see, to admin upload that we've discovered, we're mapping a variable file as you see here. So you need to map, and then rather than just posting what's inside the script, we can just map it to a file. Let's say that we have a file. In this situation, our file is exact.php, and we need to add a -k, because in this situation -k, we would actually be using it. We need to be using it because we're trying to post to an HTTPS. So let's put everything together like that. See if it works. It might not work, but let's just try and see. -f. Let's just copy the entire thing. Now, I am a little bit inclined to think it would not work because of the Barker session, but let's just see. Let's just paste it in here, hit enter, and it actually worked. So it has been uploaded to exact.php. So if we visit, instead of RCE, let's say exact.php, we get the same thing, present working directory. Let's see what's in the present working directory. We can see our rce.php, we can see our exact.php, and we can see the multiple failed and succeeded attempts to actually upload via the images. So via the image banner upload from over wherever it was, like over here, over there, over the edit profile. So this was really interesting. This was sort of like multiple ways to skin a cat. In this situation, to skin a dog, or most specifically to get a dog to bark an RCE at us. And I'm actually I really hope that you enjoyed this video and that you actually learned something from it, because for me it was really exciting to actually do it.